Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Lucy Foster-Perkins and I'm taking you through a 60-minute yin class today, and our focus is going to be on the metal element. So if you're watching this live now, or if you're watching this soon after it's been streamed, we have been globally encouraged into a metal element phase, and I'll explain a bit more about what this means. But this is also associated with autumn. So it might be that it's autumn where you are in the world right now, or you're watching this later, 6 months later, and it's autumn now and it was spring before. But whether it's autumn or not, we can still take a lot of inspiration from the metal element. So metal element comes from traditional Chinese medicine 5-element theory. And yin yoga is wrapped into traditional Chinese medicine 5 elements. Traditionally, with yin yoga, we target the meridian lines. For each element, there are 2 meridians, and for fire, there is 4. And the metal element in this cycle, because it's all a cycle that we explore when we look at 5-element theory, is associated with autumn, as I said. And autumn, we can really take inspiration from the trees and from nature, and it can give us a lot of clues of some of the themes that we explore through our metal element. So if you think of the peak of expression in summer, and this is to do with the fire element, and then we come into harvest, and this is the earth element, very much grounding and starting to turn from that peak external expression of fire down into a more yin state. And then when it comes to metal, the associations with metal in terms of an emotional level are to do with grief and letting go. And in nature, we see that the leaves from the trees are shed and the leaves come down, and the trees let go of what did serve them before and may have looked beautiful and amazing and a huge expression before, but the trees know that the leaves no longer serve them as they go into the depths of winter. So they don't mourn the leaves, they don't cling on to them, but instead they discern what no longer needs them. And remember, these leaves served them at one point, so it's about discerning what served you before and no longer serves you now, and allows them to let them go, allows the leaves to go and to draw its energy inward for winter. The other emotion apart from letting go is grief. So the idea of you can grieve a person, obviously. You can also grieve an old job if you're moving to a new, better job, or an old house if you're moving to a better house. So it's not necessarily grieving something that you no longer want, or grieving something that is a great loss that you'll no longer have again. Grieving is a natural process, and when we block it off, this is when we get stuck energetically in the metal element. So the meridians that we associate with metal are the lungs and the large intestine, and they run in the arms, the inside and the outside, into the neck and into our shoulders. So we'll be working on the upper arms, but we'll be working a little bit on our earth element as well, to bring in the element that guides and nurtures into the metal element. So come to a comfortable sitting position first. And take some long, deep breaths to anchor into your experience, anchor into your practice. And you can start right here. You can exhale a little longer and exhale anything that's no longer serving you here. You can exhale tension in the body, encouraging that tension to go away. You can exhale through the mouth. The lungs are another great expression of letting go of air that is no longer serving us And obviously this is primarily carbon dioxide, but it also lets go of a little bit of oxygen, and that's fine. So it doesn't cling on to things just because they're labeled as good. And it can discern and let go, exhaling anything that's no longer serving it, knowing and trusting that the inhale will come again. You can take a few breaths and exhale long, and exhale anything that's no longer serving you on a mental level. Maybe it's a particular thought pattern. Maybe it's a story. Allowing yourself to let go so you come back to this present moment. And slowly let the chin drop down to the chest. We'll start with some slow head rolls to get into the side of the neck and the shoulders. So slowly rolling the left ear to the left shoulder. Dropping both shoulders away from the ears. And dropping the chin back down to the chest. And rolling the other way. And continue these half rolls in your own time. And go as slow as you need to go so that you witness every single part of the journey and pause wherever the neck or the shoulders need a little extra love. If your head and your neck feel safe, you can take this into a full circle, or you can continue with your half circles. And if you're circling, then circle the opposite way. And let the chin drop down to the chest. Inhale the head up on top of the spine. Exhale to pause here. Open the eyes. So the lung meridian runs on the inside of the arm into the thumb, and the large intestine runs from the big finger up on the back of the shoulder and into the neck. So we want to open up these both meridians, and we do it with a sense of gentleness and easing into each pose, as is the method or the intention for our yin practice. So first come to all fours. You might want to just grab some cushions nearby so that they're there if you need them in the practice, so you're not scrambling off your mat. Keep the hips on top of the knees so that you're not bringing them back or forwards. Keep them there, pad the arms forward, the hands towards the front of the mat, and slowly let the head and the shoulders and the chest drop down. If you find this is too much for your chest and your shoulders, if you feel that you're kind of over that 60 or 70% and you're going more into 80% intensity, then you can take a bolster under the chest. And that's a little easier there. Or you can take one arm straight and the other one bent so that the hand is underneath the forehead. Easing down and easing into the pose. You can have your forehead on the ground, or you can have your chin on the ground if that feels okay for the neck. We're opening up those lung meridians. You can take your arms a little wider in a V shape if it's too much for the shoulders or the chest. And take some long exhales, letting go of any tension that you don't need. And in our yin practice, I'll be leaving you in silence. In silence to be still and calm and to witness whatever comes up. So once we found our stillness and we begin to witness our experience, we don't judge or try and analyze. And this begins to bring in our mindfulness practice to our experience. And if you have one arm tucked underneath your forehead, you can swap arms now. Or you can stay where you are if you have both arms extended. You can keep focusing on your long exhales. Take another full breath in, full breath out. Begin to walk your hands back so your hips come back on your heels, and just pause here, rounding the back. If you like, you can bring your knees together and even rest the arms beside you in child's pose. And then walk the hands forward again, and we'll come down to lying on the belly. Turn the head to one side and let the arms rest beside you. This is called your rebound. So your rebound is a place where your whole body can be neutral again. And it can resettle after the stress of the pose. Turn the head the other way. And then bring the head back up. So we're going to open up our wings a little more, get right into that lung meridian. So first take your left hand out in line with the left shoulder. So as if you're in a T shape, it's just the left hand. And roll onto that left side. And we have a few choices here. We want to open up that left shoulder and into the left side of the chest. You can keep your right hand on the ground, and it can help support you here. You can also bend both knees and even pick up that top leg, and that might help open up the chest a little more. Now if you find this is too uncomfortable and you can't stay here, it's a lot of strain, then put a cushion between your knees. And that helps give it a little bit more support. And you can also take another cushion and hug onto it in front of the chest. So take a version that works for you, where you can really open up that left side of the chest and into the left shoulder. Before you settle, just glance back at that left arm and check it's not begun to slide down lower than the shoulder. So you want that left arm to be either in line with the shoulder or a little bit higher, and you'll notice that that opens up that chest in a little different way. Take a long deep inhale. And a long exhale. And if that top arm wants to rest somewhere else, you can take it behind the back and just let it rest the back of the hand on the small of the back. We notice as we move through our yin poses that we are putting the body into some sort of strain. It's not enough for the body to tense up, but enough to find an opening and a broad sensation. And then we stay here to allow the muscles to relax. And for the fascia, the dry web-like sheets that run over the whole of the body, to take up the strain of the pose. So we want to be targeting that fascia. Letting your exhales deepen. So you're encouraging tension to leave the body with every exhale. Take another full breath in, full breath out. Slowly begin to come down onto your belly Turn the head the opposite way and let the arms rest beside you. And just take this moment to allow the pose to settle into the body in a different way now that the body's back at a more neutral place. Letting the fascia realign. And notice the difference from one side of the body to another without judgment, without analyzing. And we're going to the other side. So the right arm comes out in line with the right shoulder, lying onto that right side, and then finding your way into the same version you had on the other side, or whatever worked for you. You might find that you need something slightly different, and you can adapt by all means. We're looking to open up that right side of the chest, right side of the shoulder. And take a long, deep inhale and exhale, settling into the pose. And again, I encourage you to take some extra long exhales here. And with every exhale, encouraging the body to let go. Let go of any tension. And let go of any expectations of what this experience might mean for you. Notice if your mind begins to wander off. Come back to this present moment, come back to this full experience. Take another full breath in, long exhale. Slowly releasing yourself from the pose, coming back to lying on your belly, arms rest beside you and the head goes the opposite way. Taking the hands under the shoulders, come all the way up to sitting. Slowly bring yourself up. We're going to work into more of a earth element pose now. So the earth element has the spleen and the stomach meridian, and it runs up and down the front of the body. So to start with this, we're going to come into our Caesar. So the feet are on the outside of the hips, and you might want to just encourage the calves out as well. We ease our way down to the ground. Now, if this is just not an option for you, grab some cushions or blocks, as many as you need, so that you come up a little higher. And you might still feel it on the front of the thighs, you might feel it on the ankles. You might want to place some more padding under the ankles if your feet feel too hard in the ground or on your mat. So we want to open up the front of the body here. Now, if you have any short, sharp shooting pains in your knees, then ease your way out and you can take one leg and then the other. That might feel a little easier as well. So we don't want to find any short, sharp shooting pains. And you might want to take some cushions behind you, because there will be an option later to begin to lie back. Now, some of you, when you hear lying back in this pose, your whole body will be like, nah, no way that's happening. And in which case you just stay exactly as you are. This is just an option for those of you whose body's asking you in this practice on this day to go a little further, but we'll all start here first. So we want to feel it along the front of the thighs, maybe a little bit over the knees, but a kind of a broad sensation in the knees, nothing short or nothing you can kind of point your finger to. And then underneath the ankles, you might feel a little bit there as well. So this is primarily the stomach meridian that runs right at the top of the thighs and the top of the shins. So take a long, deep inhale once you've found the version that works for you. A long exhale. Relax the belly, relax the jaw. You can place your palms up or hold one hand if that feels it's restful for the shoulders. And feel grounded and heavy here. There is an element of yang to this pose, as we are not flopping forward or falling back. We are lifting gently in the chest. But we're still finding a sensation about 60 or 70% intensity. And if you're someone that likes to go 100% at 100% of the time, then back off to about 30% intensity. And you might find that sweet spot instead. You can take some longer exhales, opening the mouth as you exhale. So another good thing to let go of during our yin practice or any yoga practice is to let go of the image in our head or the story in our head of what we should look like in each pose. If we begin to chase positions or chase shapes, we become future orientated and we rob ourselves from being in the now, being in the moment. If we flip this to looking for sensations in the body or creating sensations and then using those sensations as a way of checking into the physical body, checking in with the energetic body, and anchoring us to what is revealed right now rather than what we hope or wish is revealed or is not revealed from a story we have in our mind. Now, it might be that the body wants to stay here, in which case you're exactly where you need to be. If you find that the body is asking you to go a little deeper, you can begin to lean back. So if you are on a block already, then I would take lots and lots of cushions or don't even go back, because you don't want to be pinching in the lower back. It might be that you just take your hands behind you and you rest here. It might be that you pick the pelvis up, tuck it under, so as if you're scooping the pelvis forward, and then slowly, slowly begin to edge your way back. Be really mindful of this, because we don't want to just fall back aiming for a particular place to land. But instead we ease our way into this variation. And again, take some long exhales through the mouth. Encouraging the body to be soft and to be still. Take 5 more deep breaths. And when you finish your 5th breath, if you align back, then placing the hands onto the feet or onto the ground, slowly picking yourself up, placing the hands and pad them forward. And then just find a place where you'd like to open up the body. So it might be that you stretch one leg out behind you, and then the other. And then again coming down to lying on your belly. And bringing yourself gently down. Hands beside you. Turn your head one way for 5 breaths. And when you've finished your 5 breaths, taking your head the other way. And taking the hands under the shoulders and bring yourself up. So we'll stick with an earth pose, because I feel this next pose is so good for letting go of stories and letting go of tension. So take the right foot forward in between the hands. We're coming to a low lunge. If, like me, you have sensitive knees, you can fold the mat over at the back and just pad the knees with some extra mat, or even take a cushion underneath. You've got a few options. It might be that bringing your hands to the ground is just way too far, and you might want to come up to having your hands on your shin, and you might straighten that front leg a little bit more. We're looking for an opening in that left hip flexor and left thigh. It might be that you have some blocks or maybe some books nearby, and you take them underneath the hands so that the ground's not so far away. And we slowly ease our way down, slowly lowering the hips until we find a place where the body's saying, nah, I want to stop there. So once you found the place where, what we call, or you find your first edge, and your first edge is the place where your body's first says, I want to stop here. This is as far as I'm going. And we pause there, and we bringing our mindfulness meditation. So whatever sensation comes up, we allow it to be there. We begin to notice, as this is a bit of a spicy pose, begin to notice what effects it has on our mental movement. And we become mindful of that as well without bringing in judgment. See if you can place your awareness on the part of the body that feels the spiciest. And just allow that sensation to be in your awareness without trying to change it. Accepting whatever comes up. And here comes the letting go part. So with every long exhales, you can encourage tension to leave the body, but most of all, encouraging stories to leave. So we're not holding on to stories, we're not holding on to ideas of what we should feel like or what we should look like. Instead, we allow whatever to come up to be exactly as it is. And take 5 more breaths where you are. Not rushing the breaths or holding on. Watch if you start to bring tension into the jaw or the belly. And then slowly, after your 5 breaths, easing your way out nice and slow out of the pose. Now you can come to whatever counter stretch you'd like. You can come straight back to downward dog. You can come straight back to lying on your belly. You can come to all fours. So choose whether you want a little bit of movement in the body until you come back to your rebound of lying on your belly and witnessing whatever experience your body is having in this rebound. And take the hands underneath the shoulders, bring the body back up. We'll go straight into the other side. So left leg comes forward. Ease your way into either the same version that you had on the first side, or adapt if you find that one side needs something slightly different to the other. Take a few breaths to settle into the pose. Breathing deeply. Let the breath be long and soft, not forcing anything. Again, relaxing the belly and relaxing the jaw. Notice if your mental chatter begins to wander off. Notice if it begins to get a little more spicy and irritated as we're in a deeper pose. These poses that feel stronger are a great opportunity for us to face our relationship with strong sensations, with discomfort. Encouraging ourselves to be patient and soft. And take 5 more deep breaths. Let the breaths come so you're not forcing them. And after your 5th breath, again, slowly easing your way out. Take any movement you might need, and then come down to lying on your belly and turn the head in the opposite way. And then from here, stay on your belly, but lift up the chest. We're going to work with the large intestine. So we got into that lung meridian on the inside of the arm, and now the large intestine on the outside of the arm and the shoulder. So threading the left arm underneath the right. So there's a few options we've got here. Either we can stay with one arm, and we can place the forehead on the back of the hand or on the ground. Or if you like, you can also thread that top arm. This is a bit more spicy. And then either have the head on the ground or take some books or a cushion and place the forehead on a bit of a prop. So whether you've got one arm or two, I'll tell you when we're halfway, and then if you've got one arm, you swap to the other arm, and if you've got both arms, you just switch so that the other one's on top. So slowly easing your way into the pose. We want to open up the outside of that shoulder and into a bit of the tricep as well. If you've got any shoulder injuries, then by all means prop a cushion or two underneath the chest so it lifts you up and gives you a little extra support so you're not all the way down and irritating any injuries. And if you feel that this is still too much, feel free to come all the way up to sitting and just take the arm across the chest and sit here. So you can take both options. And once you've found the version that works for you, take a long, deep inhale. And exhale. Now for some of you this might be quite spicy, and for some of you it might be quite soft. So if you're not getting so much of a sensation feedback from your physical body, take your awareness to the outside of the shoulder and the arm and run your awareness all the way along the hairy side of the arm to your first finger and then back up again. And this will help to bring the energy to this meridian by simply bringing your awareness there as well. So it doesn't have to just be through a physical sensation. And I'm leaving you in more silence to allow yourself to go deeper into your own practice, your own self-inquiry and experience. Take a full inhale, exhale. Bring yourself up. We'll go straight to the other side. So if you've got both arms in, just swapping which arm is on top. And easing your way into the pose on the other side. Take 5 more deep breaths. When you finish your 5th breath, slowly bringing yourself all the way up. And this time turning onto your back. Hugging the knees to the chest. Long, deep inhale here. Exhale, come all the way down to Shavasana. Letting the legs be long and the arms rest beside you, palms face up. Allow yourself to completely let go here.